Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting vlog of Calibrated Gamer. In case you guys don't know, these vlogs are not only for my channel because people have requested vlogs from me for some reason. They're actually rewards for a Patreon page for a cartoon show I've been working on called My Time with Tolly. Ralph and I are the co-creators, and we've worked on this show for the last 2 years. A link to that is down in the description below, as well as most likely there will be a link to a video talking about the Patreon page at the end of this video, so be sure to check that out. I'm actually not working on this show right now as of this recording. I've been taking a break for the last couple of months to focus on school, as well as YouTube, as well as for other personal reasons in my life. A lot of you know that my best friend passed away, and even though I continued to work on the show after that happened, it kind of started to get to me, so for different reasons like that, etc., I ended up leaving the show officially. Now, that being said, I've still been helping as far as with the Patreon page. Every now and then Ralph will update me with what's been going on in the show, and I'll give him my ideas, etc., as well as nothing ended on bad terms. Ralph and I continue to talk every day, and he has been working so hard with the team to continue My Time with Tolly at the same pace it was going, surprisingly enough. I am shocked and honestly very proud of how hard that team is working. So if you guys want to support him, please click the link down in the description below right now. Seriously, I'm pausing right now. Click it, because even $1 a month adds up if multiple of you do it. And honestly, you know, financially, it's just so hard for one college student to support the work of a cartoon show. I mean, I'm trying to help every now and then, but I don't have a job currently, so I can't really help him like I want to be able to help him. So this is my way of helping him. Please help me help him by donating. You guys are absolutely amazing. Not only that, there are amazing rewards for those who donate, such as videos like this, being able to see them the time they actually get released, as well as, you know, written updates, secret art that no one else will ever see, etc. So be sure to go check that out. One last thing, the link might actually be to www.patreon.com/calibratedgamer, because for a while that was the Patreon page for Tolly. Even though it has my name on it, all the money went to the artists and writers that work on the show. That being said, we're in the process of changing it to an official Patreon page, just so I can have my Patreon page, as well as Tolly can have its own. That being said, if the link is to Calibrated Gamer, and you look on it and there's nothing about My Time with Tolly, please let me know in the comments down below. It just means I forgot to update it once we, you know, get it all up and running, because as of this recording, it's still a work in progress. But you didn't come here to see me play Crash Bandicoot 3 and talk about a Patreon page. No, you came here to hear a vlog, so I want to talk about my PlayStation childhood. Many of you know, in fact, probably all of you know, that I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy. I am completely biased when it comes to Nintendo. I absolutely grew up with all the Mario games, Zelda games, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just kidding, that was a joke. That being said, Nintendo is a huge part of my life. I mean, I adore the characters. I adore most of the games. You know, sometimes with like certain characters like Kirby, I end up loving the characters more than the games just because they end up being a little too easy. But some games, like the Mario games, end up, some of them being more challenging, like Super Mario Odyssey, if you've seen in my most recent series. So, you know, it's pretty great, just the range of like how different these games can be with these same characters. That being said, my childhood was actually mostly comprised of PlayStation 1 games and PlayStation 2 games. When I was first growing up, the PlayStation was actually the main console that I played, if not the only console that I played. It's kind of weird to think about because it was the oldest memories I have of video games, but for a long time I didn't own any Nintendo consoles. I had an original Game Boy that was a hand-me-down from my older brothers, but that was basically it. And the only game I really played on that was Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which is an awesome game, but it wasn't enough to like really get me into the Nintendo fan base. That being said, my cousins had like the Nintendo 64, etc. So I still like played those games a little bit, and I still like loved those characters, but that's kind of as far as it went. I mean, as of my childhood, Sonic the Hedgehog hadn't been like remade to ports for the PlayStation yet, and you know, Mario never ever will be on PlayStation, so I was very limited in what I actually had to play. That being said, at an early age, my parents bought me and my little brother a PlayStation 1, and it was the most amazing thing ever in my entire life. The thing about kids playing video games that a lot of you may not realize is that sometimes a kid's taste in video games is entirely dependent on what a parent deems as worthy enough for their kids and buys, like, in a store. You don't even think about that because a lot of us nowadays, we buy the games we want to buy. We play the games we want to play. But when you're a kid and your parents buy the console, buy the games, etc., sure, there may be certain games you see advertising for that you want more. But, for the most part, a lot of it is determined, in the beginning at least, by what your parents set down in front of you. You don't really know about the outside world as much, especially when I was growing up. The internet was sort of a thing, but not like, fully. I'm not that old. I was born in 1993, so the internet was around, obviously. But the thing is, it just wasn't, as easily accessible. My family had one computer, and the kids were not allowed near it, unless, we were playing computer games, which actually was my true childhood of video games, but, that's technicalities and all that. But as you can probably tell from the gameplay footage of this being the new Insanity trilogy by Crash Bandicoot, that one of the games that really started my childhood and really started my different love of video game fandoms was Crash Bandicoot Warped. That really hurt my throat, but I had to Warped! Yeah! Oh god. Crash Bandicoot Warped was a huge part of my childhood and absolutely started my love of mainstay video game mascots. Crash was probably my first main mascot I was a huge fan of. Granted, Mario and Sonic quickly replaced him in my mind, unfortunately, even though the Crash Bandicoot games are really well made. But it was definitely my first, and that's just a huge part of my childhood right there. What's funny? I remember playing Warped so much because I played it so many times. I beat that game I don't even know how many times. The fact that it had all the classic gameplay mechanics of the first and second game combined with an easy level select system, as well as mainly the cool new power-ups that they added. You unlock a freaking bazooka after a while, or this tiptoe sneak move that will let you step on nitro crates. That stuff blew my mind as a kid. What were you, that was awesome. And I don't remember it as well, but it actually wasn't the first Crash Bandicoot game that I played. It might have been, but actually I did play Crash Bandicoot 1 with my best friend at the time, a guy that I'll just, for the sake of animosity, for the sake of him being anonymous, I'm just going to call him George. So I would go over to George's house all the time. He had PlayStation 1 with all the coolest games, and I remember barely playing Crash Bandicoot 1. We didn't play that one as much. We actually played Spyro a heck a ton. And because of that, Spyro was also another huge character of my childhood. Unfortunately, I couldn't go over there all the time because my parents would have to drive us since we were in elementary school, as well as, it just didn't click with me as well as Crash Bandicoot did. But still, Spyro was still a big part. Even though most of the time I went over there, we actually played with Beanie Babies and pretended we were the video game characters instead of the actual video game characters, which, makes me proud of myself as a kid. But besides that, there's that. Another huge part of my PlayStation childhood, surprisingly enough, was the game Ape Escape. I'm kind of shocked with the amount of people that I mention Ape Escape to, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I think it was PlayStation Heroes or whatever the fighting game is, where they introduced Spike as a character and it blew my mind. It was some game like that. I don't know if it was that game exactly. But the point is that people were like, who's this spiky-haired Goku knockoff? I don't know, freaking, it's Spike from the freaking time-traveling monkey adventure of Ape Escape 1. What? Why does this make me sound like a crazy person? In Ape Escape 1, basically, I guess, Crash Bandicoot... I'll just explain real quick. Ape Escape 1... Okay, no, hold on. Crash Bandicoot 3, the one that's basically the remastered version on the screen right now, it was about time travel as well, which I guess is kind of silly when you think about it, because Crash Bandicoot 3 was a huge part of my childhood, and Ape Escape 1 was a huge part of my childhood, both of which involved time travel, which would later make me love time travel so much that I would become addicted to the Back to the Future series, which kind of makes it crazy that we ended up working on a cartoon show about time travel, My Time with Tolly, Patreon page, full circle, but, you know, I think I just kind of discovered more of my subconscious than I wanted to, so I'm gonna lie down for a second. Okay, I'm back. So Crash Bandicoot 3 is about traveling through time to get power crystals that are located in the past before Neocortex does, so that basically you can keep him from getting them all. And Neocortex is trying to like stop you, as well as he's trying to like let you collect the power crystals for him. I don't even remember all the details. Ape Escape though is about these evil monkeys, led by an evil monkey named Spectre, going back in time to rechange all of history to where monkeys rule the earth. And it's actually a really cool concept, as well as it was actually really well made. Every single level was a different moment in time. Whether you're dealing with dinosaurs, knights in shining armor, like I don't even remember all the levels, but I do remember just how much fun I had playing this game. Now, Crash Bandicoot Warped was a game that my parents picked for me, luckily. Ape Escape actually was a game that my older brother was borrowing from his girlfriend at the time. But when they broke up, like, she never asked for her game back. So I never gave her game back. Sure, my brother Josh, like, played the game from time to time, but I remember Ape Escape specifically growing up. I would love to watch him play the game. And this was when they were still dating, it doesn't matter. I would love to watch him play the game because I was scared to play it myself. Ape Escape actually was one of the first PlayStation games that I ever picked up a controller and played. I know I talked about Crash Bandicoot Warped being a huge part of my childhood, and it was. But Ape Escape was probably the first console game I ever played. I mean, with the exception of Game Boy, I guess. I was terrified of the enemies in Ape Escape for some reason. Look at this guy. Like, flippin' cutie little guy, I don't know. Frickin', I don't know what's on the screen. But the point is that, like, I was so scared. I had to have Josh play. Well, anyway, he didn't want to play all the time. So, like, after a while, I finally convinced myself to play this castle level, which ended up having the first boss in the game. Josh had never beaten the first boss, so that was as far in the game as you could possibly go. And I was terrified. It was so scary to me. But for some reason, I kept pushing through, and I ended up beating the first boss, and that blew my mind. It's not that Josh couldn't beat the boss, I don't think. I think it was more of a thing of he didn't care enough to beat the boss. I don't really quite know. But anyway, I beat that boss, and it, like, that was a huge moment for me. I was like, I did something my older brother couldn't do. I'm amazing. I don't want this video to go super long, so I'm only going to talk about 2 more games from my PlayStation childhood, especially since I didn't have a ton to work off of anyway. So the next game is actually kind of more like a vague memory than like a really well thought game, was Croc the Legend of Gabos, I'm pretty sure is what it was called, but either way, Croc for PlayStation 1. I don't remember this game as much, as far as I don't remember it in the forefront of my mind for playing it as often, because the copy I had was kind of busted. It was like super scratchy, so it would only work half the time. But I know that Croc was designed to be a Yoshi game initially, a 3D Yoshi game, but it ended up not being picked up by Nintendo, so it became its own thing. It's a really fun game. I remember it had tank controls, which were super terrible. All the levels were basically the same, but it didn't matter because I didn't barely get past like the first world, so, you know, that's kind of a weird part of that childhood. Finally, I'm going to talk about what is probably my favorite PlayStation 1 game of all time, which, surprisingly enough, is Looney Tunes Sheep Raider. It makes me kind of mad how few people know about this game, since it was such a huge part of my childhood, but Looney Tunes was like my favorite cartoon show of all time. I lived in kind of this golden age of like watching Boomerang, where basically I would get all these reruns of all these classic shows, and that being said, I have basically seen every single episode of Looney Tunes, and this game is like you're playing episodes of Looney Tunes. It's amazing! I actually recorded a few episodes of this game for my channel for some reason. I was actually emulating it at the time. I have a copy of the game, but I don't really have a way of capturing a PlayStation 1 game, especially one that hardly works anymore. That being said, I might find a better way to record it, and I might restart that series because this game just means that much to me. I mean, you play Wile E. Coyote trying to steal sheep. I'm sorry, you're not Wile E. Coyote. You're Ralph the Wolf, which is the exact same character, except he has a red nose. Anyway, you play Ralph the Wolf, which is just a Wile E. Coyote clone, and you steal sheep from Sam the Sheepdog. But the thing is, Daffy Duck is helping you out by giving you all these Acme inventions. You get a giant rubber band that slingshots you across the level. You get rocket packs that help you like maneuver through these mesas and through these caverns and stuff. You get like sheep costumes, sheep perfume, you know, a bush you can hide in. You deal with all these old characters like Gossamer the Red Monster, you know, and you travel through time. Again, that's kind of strange. Huh. A lot of time travel mechanics in these games. Wait, was I set up? What? No, it can't be. It can't be. No one planned this. Did my parents do this to me? They got me warped. They got me Sheep Raider, but Josh helped pick out those games. Josh gave me Ape Escape. Oh no. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that vlog video. Like and comment down below. If you want to see more specifically, please comment if you have any questions for me or if there's any specific topics you want me to talk about. I'm more than happy to gab away for like 15, 20, 30 minutes or so. Doesn't even matter. Just give me a topic and I'll talk about it. So thank you guys for watching. Hit the little bell icon once you subscribe to be notified of when new videos come out. I'm trying to stay on top of it as far as like being, you know, regularly scheduled videos. Right now, as of the time I'm recording this, I am in the process of graduating from college. So, you know, by the time you see this video, I may already be graduated or I may still be working. But if, you know, videos are kind of here and there, that's why. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Until the next time, stay calibrated, and I will see you guys in that next vlog video. Bye-bye! No, that was a note. Bad kid. Bad.